There were multiple times in my entrepreneurial journey where it just broke me. 20-year-old missing out on fun and parties and friends. And that's why you see so many people who reach the pinnacle of success and then they fall into depression. What is the goal of building a company? You want to have a financial freedom, so you're not contained to selling your time for money. When people, entrepreneurs, get too attached to their startups, that is where stress, anxiety, uncertainty, and burnout comes.
My guest today has built companies and chosen to plant his roots right here in Dubai. Welcome to the mosque, Muneeb Mushtaq. People questioning whether Dubai is still the right place to be. You chose to stay. Why?
If you're in UAE, you are pretty safe. Dubai was still awarded the safest city in the world. Success in itself is overrated. Focus on building enterprise value. Repetition is the mother of skills. We all are unique and we have a certain gift that has been given to us. Where we come from doesn't define where we're going. We're literally just one decision away from having a completely different life. My mindset is like, I want to be a high achiever. I take business as a game. It's like a scoreboard. When you understand where you're going, how you're going to get there, what are the ingredients to help you get there, is when you succeed.
So, Muneeb, you started your first company at 18. At that age, when something takes off that fast, who did you become in your head?
Oh, wow. You're really transforming me back to when I was a teenager. That was a long time ago. Not that long, but still quite long ago.
Yeah.
I think one thing that happens, and as we're progressing more and more, the newer generation, there's much easier ways to make money. Of course, you can be online, you can set up a Shopify store, you can do so many things, right? So it's fairly, the barrier to entry to be successful is not really dependent on the age, like how old you are. But at that time, when I was 18, which was back in 2010, right? I remember that it's like nobody expected me to win. Actually, I was still in uni, so I was going to University of Toronto. I was doing bachelor's in commerce, so accounting specialist, economics major. And all my friends were stressing or people around me were just stressing to get into the Big Four, to get an internship. I just noticed an office for one of the Big Four just down there.
Yeah.
And it still brings back memories because you're just hustling to even just get an internship. And I was like, no, I don't want to be that person. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. And when I did that by the time we were graduating, I was already recruiting, hiring my own classmates because I knew who was a rock star, who was doing really well and who would be really beneficial for our company. So I think it was just, it's very easy to get over your head, but I did not get it. So I think that came from the values from my father. I stayed fairly contained.
So did the startup become your identity before you even realized it?
Oh, big time. Easily. I think that's one of the first things that happens, right? As an entrepreneur, when you're building a startup, and I don't like the term when people say, oh, your startup is your baby. I'm like, no, it's not a baby, because first of all, if you consider your brand or the company that you're building as your baby, you don't go out and sell your baby at some point in time.
That's right.
You need to have an exit plan with your company, right? Either you IPO, so you take it public, you sell it, which is an M&A prospect, but there has to be an exit strategy, and you do reverse engineering, right? Even if you want to run the business, which runs on autopilot, it's still an exit that helps you get the financial freedom. What is the goal of building a company? You have to follow your passion if you're passion-based, right? But at the same time, you want to have a financial freedom, right? So you're not contained to selling your time for money. So there has to be an inflection point where you're sort of free from spending time into the business, so other people, other companies, public markets, whatever it is able to manage that. When entrepreneurs get too attached to their startups, that is where stress, anxiety, uncertainty, and burnout comes.
Since you are talking about the exit policy, like exit strategy, how did you develop this mindset that you have to have an exit? Because you're young. How did you start thinking about it already?
The first company that we made was just an agency. Right? It was just a B2B digital marketing company based out of Canada, Mississauga, right? And so when an exit opportunity came, we realized that, hey, we could be contained to it forever, or we can let go of this and build something bigger because we will have the capital. Mind you, we're still 21 years old and my brother was 17 years old, right? So we're fairly young, or quite young, very young, right? When you start focusing on creating enterprise value of your company, of your startup, that is where you're winning. And you would notice that, right? So for example, something like Tesla. It's a $1 trillion market cap, but their revenues are far below that. So they get 20, 30x multiples compared to like Volkswagen, which is just a traditional car company, and they get a multiple of 2 to 3x. There's a reason that the market cap of Tesla is 10 times more than the market cap of all the other major automobile industry combined, right? Why? Because they've created an enterprise value. So one thing that I advise, because I sit on multiple advisory boards of startups ranging anywhere from like literally zero, just starting now, to doing 100 million in revenue, is that focus on building enterprise value. And that comes from brand positioning, that comes from founder's story, that comes from really positioning yourself as the market leader, where you're sharing the story about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're going to get to a point where it becomes something sizable and market leader.
So it all comes down to how well you are prepared in advance.
It's always about preparedness, right? Like literally, that's what they say, right? Like, your success comes from when you're prepared and an opportunity knocks on the door. That's where the success is. For example, like you were telling me, like, the notes that you're prepared for this podcast, you're well prepared.
Yeah.
I've seen so many podcasters, like, interviewers who just show up. They're like, we'll just have a conversation. That's cool. It's not as impactful because like, when you do research, for example, one of the top podcasters in the world, Ed Milet, you might have heard of him. He gets millions of views. He's one of the top business podcasters in the world, based out of California. When he gets a guest on his podcast, according to him, he spends around 8 to 10 hours doing research on them. If they have written a book, he will read the whole book.
Yeah.
Right? Because he wants to know the guest.
That's right.
Stephen Bartlett, Diary of the CEO, he does the same thing as well. When you're prepared, and then when you're building a company in that context, when you understand where you're going, how you're going to get there, what are the ingredients to help you get there, is when you succeed.
Everything makes sense now.
Yeah. It's simple.
Yeah.
So one thing that I always tell people is that the beauty is in the simplicity. You look at the biggest conglomerates in the world, they run on very basic principles. But our human nature, our human wiring is that it should be much more painful than it should be, right? We believe that it should be painful. We need to suffer. We need to have a burnout.
Or we need to do something fancy, like which
dramatic.
No one else is doing. Yeah, dramatic.
Like drastic, right? Something huge is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas people who have built billion-dollar companies, that have built legacies, that have really defined the world, like in any context, it was just 1% here, 1% there, but it was consistent execution, belief, and investment that helped them get the return.
Yeah. So this is something which I learned through one of these top researchers. He was researching about the athletes, like what is something the top athletes, they are doing different than others, that they're outperforming them. And what he found out about Kobe Bryant, he was doing it on him. And he found out that he's doing the most basic drill of basketball, but he's doing it so many times that he's getting into his system that no matter what situation, what pressure situation, he's able to execute those anytime. Like if you wake him up and you ask him to do it, he'll just do it right away. But he was not doing anything drastic or dramatic. He was just practicing those simple fundamentals.
And so what they say is that repetition is the mother of skills. So any skill that you want to acquire, you just want to repeat it so many times that it's embedded in your nervous system. And then you build a muscle memory around that helps you execute.
That's right.
Right? That's what you look at all the top athletes, because you come from this world.
Yes.
Or even business people as well. Like they have just given the repetition, the amount of repetition they've done. Steph Curry, which is one of the top basketball players in the entire world, has done over 2 million shots just in his practice.
Yeah.
That's massive.
That's massive, 100%.
Right? That's 200 to 300 shots a day since he started playing basketball. He picked up the basketball when he was a teenager. So imagine, it's just repetition.
That's right.
And that's why you would see him even live in a basketball game where he makes the throw and then he just looks around. Like he just looks, he just turns around.
Yeah.
He knows it's just going to go in. He doesn't even have to see to ensure. He just knows it's in.
That's right.
Because his muscle memory is like the way he made that throw.
That's right.
It just knows it's so smooth, it's so synced, it's so aligned with what he has practiced millions of times, literally, that enables him to know that it's done.
Yeah, before even they make the throw, he knows it. I mean, his body knows it that, okay.
His body knows.
Yeah, his
exactly.
body knows it, yeah. So coming to your Ask for Task gets called Canada's fastest growing startup. TechCrunch, Shark Tank, you are 22, 23 years old. Be honest, what did that do to your ego?
That was an interesting time because we were on a roll, right? And there is like millions of dollars going through our platforms, through us, through our bank accounts. We were one of the top trending companies in all of Canada. It's times like those where you have to really stay anchored, right? And I think I've been either blessed with the right values, or like, I never got unhinged, if that's the right word. And I think startup founders or even athletes, again, like, is that the moment they hit the stardom, because it comes. I always like to quote Brian Chesky. Somebody asked him Airbnb, right? Like, people ask him, how did he become an overnight success? And he says that my overnight success was only 10,000 nights long. So there was a lot of effort, right? Sweat, tears, blood that is given out to actually get to a point where you are trending, you're at top of your game, things are working, the momentum is there, the leverage is there, the universe is on your side because, like, you have paid your dues. I think that's what defines your personality as an entrepreneur, as a human being. And so I believe that, like, all we did was that we continued to show up and continue to do work. The only thing that I did was that I actually started to work even more. And that took a toll on my health. And I did miss some years, being 20-year-old, missing out on fun and parties and friends and, like, Xbox and like all that stuff. I have no regrets for that, by the way. But, at that time you feel a little bit isolated, right? You feel isolated because everybody is out there having fun. Like, why am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? And it wasn't even about money. Like, money is just, it comes and then you're good. It was just something proving to myself. And when that happened, I was just like, okay, now we're done. Now what? And then that's where I think what kicked in was a passion, which I discovered was more about doing PR, being in public, like, sharing my journey. And I think that's where I started to slowly transition. And then the rest is history.
But when you mentioned that the journey, after a point, like when you are too much hustling towards your dream, you start feeling a bit lonely. And a lot of people who are trying to transition or start something new or follow their dream, they caught themselves in this phase where they start feeling lonely.
There were multiple times in my entrepreneurial journey where I feel like it just broke me. But it's the mindset shift. It's what is the story that you're telling yourself, right? Because everything depends on that.
Yeah.
And so initially, when I was younger and I didn't know how to process this, I would just take this as, yeah, like something is wrong with me. Or why am I doing this? And that's why you see so many stories of startup founders or people who reach the pinnacle of their career or success and then they fall into depression. The thing is that anytime you break, you're, first of all, getting stronger, because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I know it sounds corny, but it's the reality. The second thing is that anytime you break with an adversity, and by the way, it could be an adversity, it could be crisis that can break you, something that we saw, pandemic, right? That we saw the current situation that the world is going through, wars everywhere, like, things, uncertainty. So that can break you. Or an extreme positive event, such as you sell your company for $1 billion, like, you win Stanley Cup or like, the title or like the World Cup or something, right? And then you're on top of the world. You break.
That's right.
Right? You break. But then once you break, are you turning yourself into something that comes back as a bigger version of yourself? You cannot show this to the world. Nobody can know. Like, even the people closest to you, your family members, your partner, your spouse, nobody would know. It's just you within yourself. And that is why I always tell people, I challenge people to think about it from this perspective. When you're just with yourself and there's silence, there's nobody around you. Maybe you're just in your car, you're driving, you're sitting by yourself, you're getting into bed at night. What is the story that you're telling yourself?
So what was the story you were telling yourself?
Originally, I used to be really hard on myself. It was never enough. It was always like, Muneeb, you can push harder, right? There's something missing. You have to prove yourself. You have to validate yourself. You have to, like, there's something out there. Like, we're all immigrants, right? So, like, we went from, like, like going into Canada as an immigrant brown kid, there's always a chip on your shoulder where you have to prove yourself.
That's right.
My accent was not that good. I didn't speak English that good. I still have these words. And that was a shift that happened, right? Before I used to feel insecure about my accent. Now I own it. That's my strength. It's such a unique accent that if a YouTube video is playing or a reel is playing, if that is my voice, you would know.
Yeah.
The story went from, oh, like, I will never speak perfect Canadian English, right?
Yeah.
I cannot be as good as my white friends, right? I get made fun of. Something is wrong with me. Something is missing in me. How am I going to get there? My tongue rolls a different way because I speak another language.
Right.
Two, my tongue rolls another way. I speak another language that makes me smarter because I know more than one language.
That's true.
Boom, right?
Yeah.
Now, because I'm saying different words, I am unique. So if people hear my voice, they will recognize it's Muneeb's voice. Boom, that's a unique factor. That's a marketing angle. That's brand positioning right there.
Yeah.
So you see how I shifted low energy thoughts into a very high energy. It's the same situation, different story.
That's right. Like you change the whole perspective from being a victim mindset to a winner's mindset.
To a winner's mindset.
Yes.
Exactly.
So after the exit, when you exited your company, your first startup, you went more inward, like neuroscience, mindfulness, spirituality. What were you actually looking for?
Purpose. And I felt, in my opinion, as soon as you get the financial freedom you're looking for, when you prove to yourself that you can do things, all of a sudden a shift happens inside of you where you're like, what is my calling? And what is my gift? We all have a gift. Being a good speaker, being a good writer, being a good singer, being a good player, being a good human, right? Being a good giver, like anything. So identifying your gift and then doubling down, 10xing down on that is, I think, which really liberates you and starts to motivate you to work on your craft, on your gift. Because it comes down to the uniqueness.
Right.
I talk about that a lot because I am a big believer that we all are unique and we have a certain gift that has been given to us. So I think my gift was just that I'm going to continue to be highly motivated. And my mindset is like, I want to be a high achiever, right? I take business as a game. It's like a scoreboard, right? You have a premium athlete who just goes on the top of the board. In every sport, in every domain, you have top players.
That's right.
Right? And they're racking their scoreboard. So I take business as a scoreboard. For me, this is good. This is fun. But then does it come at a cost of my relationships, my wellness, my mindfulness, my health? Absolutely not. So that's where this inward journey came, where it's like, how do you balance? And that's where my think about becoming the CEO of your life, like how do you take charge of your life as a CEO came about. Because as technical it is, as business oriented this term is, it's equally spiritual.
That's right.
Because the E in that CEO stands for energy. So you're becoming the chief energy officer of your life.
Wow. I never thought of CEO as Chief Energy Officer. And I mean, okay, so our audience who are watching us right now, if they want to get into this mode, what's the first step towards it?
Energy is contagious. Energy is the currency that we take on. My mindset is like every day that I wake up, energy, I'm given a wallet with certain amount of energy. I get to spend it. Now I can spend that energy on low frequency things, on low frequency people, low frequency tasks, low frequency activities, or I can do it on something that actually multiplies that energy. And that means doing tasks, things, activities that can multiply that. For example, physical movement. I want to move, get my body moving, because the moment you change your state, your physical state, your emotional state, your mental state changes too. Right? You can just do jumping jacks, go to the gym, go for a run, go for a walk, do anything and change your state, right? All of a sudden you go from low frequency to high frequency, right? That's number one. And then number two is that you have to start focusing on regulating your nervous system, right? So like you have to really connect within yourself and ask questions to yourself like, what is bothering me? What am I worried about? What is the story that I'm telling myself? And when you start shifting that is when you start shifting the utilization, the investment of energy that is going in.
You know, this is such a good point you raised right now, that asking ourselves questions, because I think after a point we stop asking ourselves enough questions. And questions are the one, if you're going to start asking yourself more questions, your mind will start unfolding the answers for you. The universe will start unfolding the new pathways for you to achieve.
Agreed. And I think all the answers are within us.
That's right.
We're stressing out to find those answers somewhere out there. They're not out there. They're not in any sort of obsession, addiction, stimulation that we as human beings try to chase. It's really just inwards. And that's where that mindfulness came from. It's just peace.
So coming back to when you mentioned that you are a Pakistani raised between the Middle East and Canada, now based in Dubai, identity is layered for you in a way that's different from most people. Did any of that come up during this inward period?
It comes all the time. But I think it's a matter of like, where we come from. All right. Doesn't really define where we're going. A lot of people are stuck in the cycle of like, a story that they told themselves about, hey, you know what? I come from this part of the world, so I'm not supposed to do that. I think as human beings, because we're not trees, we're just have the freedom to just change and move anytime we like. It's one decision. We're literally just one decision away from having a completely different kind of life.
That's
both good or bad. Being a Canadian Pakistani and now situated in the Middle East, right? A lot of people tell me, why are you so passionate about Dubai? Like, I'm a big advocate for Dubai.
Yeah.
Emirati friends, amazing people in hospitality, in welcoming people. And that's the reason they have built something amazing you see in the background right here, right? So my point is, yes, I am someone who is a foreigner for this land, but what are my unique gifts and values and skill sets that I can accumulate and invest in a land like Dubai where it would multiply for me, for my community, for the country, for the people, for the world. It comes from, again, just diving deeper into your purpose. It's one layer deeper. And a lot of people think this is just too spiritual. It's too like woo-woo, like I kid you not. I used to make fun of people who used to journal and meditate. Trust me. So I get when people say that. I still have friends. When they say, what do you do in the morning? I say, journal. They laugh at my face. And I'm like, I was like you. I don't blame you. But try doing it.
That's right.
It's more addicting than any drug out there. When you start connecting within yourself, the discovery that you have by really going inwards and, figuring out what is your energy. You do an energy audit. I talk about energy audit, like, how you can sort of see what are the assets and the liabilities. So when you do the energy audit and you look at within yourself that, look, this is giving me energy and I want to invest more time into this, that's what happens. And that's what happened. Like, when I came to Dubai, I looked at majority of the people take real estate as the career over here because that is the number one industry over here. Right. I did not necessarily resonated with that. I resonated more with what is the service I can offer with people who are in real estate or hospitality. What is a complementary thing that gives me energy, that I'm passionate about, that I have a product for, that I've done the research, investment, and I have the value that I can bring. Not only I'm not following the crowd blindly or mindlessly, but I'm actually contributing to amplify a certain industry that is existing,
Right.
that can use a value. Because if I don't do that, then there's a void. And not only there is a void in that specific niche, now I'm taking somebody else's spot whose passion is to be directly related to real estate. Why would I do that?
Right.
Right? Or any domain.
That's right.
Right? And so that's what we do. Anytime we are not being true to ourselves, not only we're doing a disservice to ourselves, to our life, we're actually taking an opportunity from somebody else.
This makes so much sense. And coming down to, you were operating with this mindset that, okay, everybody's into real estate, hospitality. You came here with a product which is actually registered in US, but you chose UAE as the first country to launch this. Why? And what is this product?
Yeah, so this company is called Airzai, and it is it's a hardware company, so a hardware startup by definition. And what we decided to do was we decided to disrupt the scenting industry, right? Again, very uncommon. Like, people are just like, why? I don't even know why. It was just a calling. There were certain circumstances where it just lined up and I knew I had to go disrupt this space. When we started in Canada, we're very R&D driven. So literally the whole PD, product development, is in-house.
Wow.
We have some of the top engineers, our industrial designer, Fred Bowles, who is the guy who created the GoPro camera, the one that you see, right? Or the Nest thermostat that got acquired by Google for $3.2 billion, won multiple Red Dot Awards. And the reason I did that was because I just knew there was a void, a vacuum in this space where there was no Nespresso, Dyson-like experience in the scenting industry.
Right.
Where we just are right next to Dubai Mall. You don't walk into Dubai Mall and see a scenting store. Yeah, there's a lot of perfume stores,
Yes.
but there's no scenting store. Why is that the case? right? Our sense of smell is one of the most sensitive senses out of the 5 senses that we have. And so I got into that. So we're very research driven. Our product is designed in California, but we are a global company. But I truly think the DNA of this exists in the Middle East because, in Middle East, the fragrances is a cultural thing. And so when you look at something that is embedded into a culture, it becomes that much more exciting. Apart from just from the business perspective, that it's a much bigger market size and the adaptability is that much easier, it's also the energy match. You see how I talk about energy? Even there's a lot of spirituality in the business as well. Where you choose to be situated is a direct reflection of how successful the company is going to be. That's the reason, even though our roots started from North America, this is where the story began, it really picked up and really became successful by situating it in the Middle East and more specifically UAE.
So when you were talking about the scent, I was just walking and this very familiar scent came into my nose and it just took me back to those memory. Is this how you also cultivated this?
So this was the main idea behind creating Airzai, right? Because when I started to do research, and I get obsessive about something that when I read, so I would buy all the books under the sun or start doing research. Now we have AI that makes lives a lot more easier.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I realized that the neuroscience behind scent was amazing. And just being a little bit of a nerd here, the reason that happened with you, which is beautiful, is that our olfactory system, our olfactory bulb is responsible for recording scents, right, in our nose. And our olfactory bulb is connected into part of our membrane within our brain, which is right next to amygdala and hippocampus.
Wow.
Now, amygdala and hippocampus are responsible for creating memories and generating emotions through those memories. So when you smell that scent, it triggered the same memory that you had because you had smelt it before. And the first time you got exposed to it, if it made you happy, it gave you a certain memory. Now, every time you're going to be exposed to that scent, your brain brings that memory out right in front of you. And that is why it's so beautiful that, when we talk to businesses, especially in hospitality, we tell them that you have to use this to your advantage because it's all human psychology, right? Literally, the product that we have just recently launched, it's putting the logo in the air. Yeah. Because you walk in, sure, you have the logo on the wall, you know that. Yeah. Have you ever noticed, and this happens a lot in the food industry, KFC, for example, fried chicken.
Yeah.
Before you even turn the corner to see the logo, you can smell the scent of the fried chicken. Have you seen that?
Yes.
So you know what they do? They put the vents behind their restaurant outside so that when you're passing by, you smell the fried chicken and there's going to be a KFC around the corner. And sure enough, when you turn around, you see that logo and you're like, now I'm craving chicken and you want to pull over. So the thing is that this is what it is. So it's such an essential tool for brand marketing, but also on individual basis, when you want to make a memory, right, with a special someone, right? For example, you went on a honeymoon, right? And you stayed at a certain resort and you love the scent of that resort. Now you want to capture, you're taking pictures, you're enjoying your time, but how do you capture that emotion that you felt over there? And that's why majority of these resorts, they have their scent, and then you can buy that scent and bring it home. And every time you put that scent, even in your house, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, you're instantly transformed to that honeymoon that you were on.
Yeah.
Right? Or that family trip that you took. Or right, that meal that you had, or your grandma cookies or something, the baking she used to do. That's the power of scent.
When I go to a resort or a spa, so the smell is what makes me more relaxed. So it just makes a huge difference.
A massive difference.
Yeah.
And then what you can do is you can actually, there's technology now which we're leading in, is how do you create scents that are neuroscientifically proven to elicit certain emotions.
Wow.
Right? So we already know aromatherapy, right? Yeah. Lavender is supposed to calm you down. That's been going on for thousands of years. Eucalyptus, another calming. Citrusy scents are more energizing, more clean. So the thing is that what we introduce in the market, we call it aromatology, which is the science of scent. How do scents impact your emotions, your emotional state? We have sympathetic and parasympathetic ecosystems, right, for ourselves, right?
Right.
Now, when we look at physical applications, that's where aromatherapy kicks in. Aromacology is more related to your emotions. And you know how I talk about emotionally regulating yourself when you're running a business, when you're running anything in your life, you're following your career. So this was one tool for me that made sense to actually bring the emotional regulation.
Powerful. So, in your company, Drake is an investor, and you've got the UAE Golden Visa, you're speaking at the Mind Valley, Web Summit, the Vatican. By any measure, you have rebuilt bigger. But is the why different this time?
The definition of why is always two-layered. There needs to be a fundamental why, which is the foundation of why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that converts into the legacy for people, right? So that foundation is important, but there has to be a layer of why on top of it that is extremely resilient and adaptable to the current situation that you are in, or the age that you're in, or the time of life you're going through, or the season of life you're going through. Your foundational why is always anchored into your core values, right? Do I want to serve? What do I want to bring to the world? What I want to be known for when I leave the world? What do I want to leave for the kids? What I want to leave for the next generation? How do I positively impact the world? That is your foundational why. That's what the building is built upon, right? Any building that you see behind us, the skyscrapers, they're built on a very strong foundation. That's why they stay intact. But on top of that, you have to be evolving. Your why has to be evolving. Right? When we first started, my first why was really, it was very business oriented. I really, first of all, we just wanted to solve the problem of smart home scenting because, you know, there is Amazon Alexa, Google Home, there is smart sound, smart speakers. So we wanted to create smart scent. So there's a smart home application. COVID hit, our business got hit massively. We had to sort of like, you know, shelve our product for like, you know, quite a while. That made me realize the medical aspect of it. That's where I started doing research into neuroscience and neuroscience and talking to experts and reading on that. And then I realized the well-being can be achieved through scents. So my why changed a little bit. Now I became more focused on this. Then we realized that when we were talking to the businesses, they wanted a scenting solution that can help with their scent marketing needs. So then we got into that. You see what I mean? So it's evolving.
Yeah.
Right? If I would have just stuck with that, we would be wiped out of the market.
That's right. So you have to keep evolving with the times, what's coming in, and you just have to keep on doing.
Always. You have to be so resilient, 100%.
So you have talked about the Million Meals Initiative.
Oh, yeah.
Mentoring founders from developing countries, the philanthropic work. Where does that come from in you?
The passion for giving, I think I really want to give this credit to my mother, first of all. And I literally actually created a foundation on her name. Mostly the foundation is made when somebody passes away, right? My mom is alive and healthy, and I hope she gets to live decades. But I was like, I want to do things that would make her happy now because she's such a giver. Since I was a kid, and my father too actually is even more, right? But my mom is an enabler. So when I saw this in my family that like, you know, there's always a way, finding ways to help people, support people, feed people, serve people. There was this certain satisfaction that sort of got instilled into me to really do that, right? And I feel that despite donating in dollars or money or like, you know, you just go, you tap your, now you don't even have to give cash, you know?
Right.
You just tap your Apple Pay and boom, you're donated, right? Or you just say checkout online and you have donated to like any of the causes that you're passionate about. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. You should do it. Again, we talk about layers, right? Everything is deeper than it looks, right? For me, my fulfillment came from actually rolling up my sleeves and really getting my hands into it. And that meant buying the meals and just going and distributing it to people, even sitting down with them and eating it. And I think that's where this journey started. And now we have done well over 30,000 meals. And I know it's still not a big number, but it's something. And imagine if everybody starts thinking about from a perspective of like, what is that small contribution that I can do? And the story started from me just buying like 10 meals and distributing to tens of thousands of meals. And then along the journey, a lot of my friends contributed, they donated, they volunteered, they supported the cause. And then we decided to bring the vision even bigger and make it 1 million meals because we were like, let's do 1 million. Why not? And that's where that whole thing came about.
Yeah, I mean, I think not a lot of people are doing this right now because the kind of mindset we all are, and most of us, we get caught in is like, what can I take from here? What can I take from here? What can I take from here? And we're just in this loop of taking from the earth, but we are not giving back anything.
I think that's one of the reasons we see all the wars right now.
Yeah.
It comes from a place of taking. It comes from a place of entitlement. It comes from a place of like the universe owes us something. Just imagine if all the governments and countries of the world become givers. Do you think there would be any war?
I don't think there will be any war, any border. Everybody would just live together.
Yeah. So I'm a realist, right? So I know it's in human nature. We're wired. If we don't have the right set of values, core values, if we don't have the discipline to stay on course and keep our heart pure, the dark energy, the low energy of taking from the world and not giving back can actually create a lot of chaos. And that's what we see in the world right now.
That's right. So I want to come down to, what does success mean to you now as compared to 10 years ago?
Success in itself is, I think, overrated. I think success is a compounding metric that goes with you as you lead your life. At any point in time, our life can stop. We can just die, right? We're not guaranteed 80, 90, 100 years. So the moment you're about to die, and you look back and they say that when you're dying, there's a reel that plays and you see everything that you've, like, from the time you were born to the time you're ending, right? When you see that reel and you play that reel, are you proud of that reel? Does that reel represent the dollar amount in your bank? Like, does that reel represent the experiences, the memories you created? Does that reel represent how many people love you? Does that reel represent the legacy that you created? What does that reel entail? Originally, when I first started, the success was just monetary success.
Yes.
Right? Enterprise value of my company success. Now, the meaning of success is every single day lived fulfilled, right? Where I have done good enough in the world. I have given to the world, right? I've contributed to the world. I've contributed to my family, to my community. I have contributed to my bank account as well. Again, let's be real. You have to do that. Money is fuel, and you should never feel bad about making money or being motivated to make money. Did you give back to your health, to your body? It's a rent. It's due. You have to pay it. You have to hit the gym. You have to do a physical activity. So imagine, rather than waiting for that reel to happen when you die, if you just play that reel before you go to bed every night, how different would you live your life? That is the question that I want to leave everybody with.
Yeah. I never thought about it this way, that you just play your own reel before going to the bed and see whether you tick those boxes or no.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if you are happy, if you're truly happy with how your day went, it was a successful day.
Yes.
You're successful.
Yes. It's as simple as that.
Simplifying things. That is the key.
So, Muneeb, now you are launching the MENA Wellness Association. Why does this region specifically need that, and why now?
So I would call it a bit of a breaking news. So, we're starting this initiative. So this came about just when this, I wouldn't call it crisis, this adversity that hit our country, like UAE as well, right? Like this conflict started in the region, and we started seeing people all of a sudden, stressing about what is going on in the world, like the uncertainty, the fear, and not knowing what's going to happen. I felt like when I talked with my team, my business partners locally, local people over here, and just like understanding the sentiment, the place that we're in. If you're in UAE, if you're in one of the GCC countries, you are pretty safe.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm addressing this because this is a MENA wellness initiative. So it's Middle East, North Africa, right? Yes, we're going through a turmoil. It's a tough time, right? But adversities are what actually create opportunities, in my opinion. And Dubai has a history of, and UAE in general has a history of bouncing back tremendously from the adversities that it gets hit by. Like, the infamous crash of 2008-9, the market boomed after that. The COVID slump, the market boomed. Like, it took literally 7 months for the market to actually, and I'm speaking about real estate market right now, to get back not on the same level, but actually start booming. And then it took like a rally of like a few years, right? Yeah. My domain is wellness. I like wellness. I like technology, which is AI now, and wellness. Those are my two domains. And so what we realized was that underneath all of this fear, uncertainty is people compromising on their wellness. They're not sleeping enough. Their cortisol is high. Their nervous system is in flight or fight mode. There's so many unanswered questions. And so the narrative we had, because like I mentioned, one of the things that I like doing is I'm a strategist and advisor for multiple companies and CEOs. And so when I spoke with them, one commonality was that they're themselves as CEOs, their executive teams, rather than focusing on the business and really weathering through this tough time, they're mostly trying to manage the emotions and sentiments of their team. The notion of wellness sort of ties into that. And we saw this as a good time to make this launch because we want to partner up. It's amazing how many DMs, emails, introductions offline that I get for big brands, right? It's not just startups or individuals, it's big brands in corporates locally that want to invest in their people. They want to prioritize wellness, well-being of their employees.
Right.
And of course, it always take a back burner when the economy is booming and you're focusing on top line for your books and your quarterly earnings call. But when an adversity like this happens, it's a great time for reset. And I'm so happy to see that. So with all this inbound interest coming in, we had to really sit down with our team and understand how can we sort of create a platform to enable corporates, startups, individuals, entities to take on the notion of prioritizing wellness for themselves, for their team, and for their country. Us as individuals, we have to contribute towards bringing things back to normal as well on our micro level.
That's right.
And so creating this wellness association at these trying times, I feel is a perfect time to serve within the place that has actually given me so much that I'm grateful for.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for choosing the masks to make this announcement here. Thank you so much, Muneeb, and thanks to your team. And secondly, this is so powerful. I really love your perspective towards life, that how you always want to serve back in a way or another. You just want to serve back to the community, back to your people. And this is really powerful. Thank you so much.
And I appreciate you saying that because not a lot of people have this realization. And I wish more people knew that. Once you start having the clarity, that's why we talk about how to go from chaos to clarity. Right? Because in the times when there's chaos, if you as an individual, right, and this is for your viewers or anybody watching this, if you can just take a step back from any media propaganda, right? Let go of the traditional conventional media, stop doom scrolling. Every time there is an agenda. And intelligence and success in this era is to pick up on the agenda and get detached to it as soon as possible. And that's what happens when you're connected within yourself.
That's right.
So when you disconnect from that agenda, you take a step back and you achieve clarity is when you realize that, hey, I don't have to worry that much. I talk about gratefulness a lot because especially in these times, you have to be grateful.
Right.
Right? You could have been in a much worse region, area with much less resources, struggling, but we're not. But people forget that because the first time something hits, they panic because they have not done the inner work. Right? And when you panic, you create chaos, and you create chaos for yourself, for your kids, for your family members, for your community, for your employers, for your job. Everything seems like it's shattering around you.
Right.
Because you're shattered from inside.
But the questions you said that which you should be reflecting on at such times are really gold. You just need to take a step back and see it from that other POV, that, okay, this is the agenda. You make sure you read it. And then you just focus more inwardly and be of service.
Be of service, exactly. And it comes from the place of just giving, right? And that's what we have to do. At this time, I tell the CEOs that I'm doing sessions literally every day. That's where a majority of my time is going. And that's why we're trying to create content and platform around this because it should reach masses.
That's right.
Right? It shouldn't be contained to certain CEOs that I'm working with or people that I'm working with. It should be amplified.
That's right.
Right? A couple of tips that I'm giving everybody at this stage is that in times where there is uncertainty, take a step back and try to achieve clarity. And how do you get clarity? By really understanding what is happening on the macro level. And how do you achieve that? You really take an empty piece of paper and you make a list. First, you write down the things, the strengths that you have that you're grateful for. Even down to I have 2 legs and 2 hands, right? I have a brain, a functioning brain, right? I have these resources, right? That are available. I can see, so I can operate. I can see the danger and I can go see past the propaganda as well, right? You have to make a list of that. And then you make a list of external. So this is all internal. This is in your control. This is your locus of control. And then you make another list of the external factors that are working in your favor. That's where the government support that I have, the economy that I'm in, the geographical area that I'm in, the support that I have from the community, from my family, from my employer, from my community, whatever it is, you make a list of that and then you pay attention, because the moment you look at that, you say, my cup is pretty full actually. And that's where your brain exits the flight or fight mode. Your nervous systems get regulated, you feel relaxed, and then you're able to strategize how you want to take the next steps.
So first is control the controllables. That's you. That's your internal part. Then you look, okay, what these external things are in my favor. And then you get into that thriving mode.
To get into the thriving mode.
Yes.
And that's how you thrive.
Yeah. So let's talk about right now, the situation, what's going on in Dubai and the GCC region. There's a real fear in this region. The geopolitical situation, the news cycle, people questioning whether Dubai is still the right place to be. You are here. You chose to stay. Why?
The thought of leaving Dubai never actually even crossed my mind. I find it extremely amusing, to be honest. For me, it just came naturally because I think I just know the dynamics of how much Dubai has given me as a human being and what it stands for. I've worked with the government here. I know the people who are part of the decision making, right? Not going too much into the details, but the motivation to serve, to build, right? To innovate, to define an environment that is based upon safety and security for you, for your family, for your loved ones, that has been provided for decades, is something you cannot take for granted.
That's right.
But if you look at the macro level, like, when you look at it from a perspective, from a lens of practicality, reality, that is what it is. Like Dubai was still awarded the safest city in the world in 2025.
Yeah.
And probably it's still going to win in 2026 because there's no petty crimes happening here.
That's right.
Even though all of the security forces, even police is just caught up with like making sure everything is good on ground, there's still net zero crime that is happening. My point is that, sure, there is uncertainty in the whole region, right? There's a lot of pain. So we cannot discount the fact that literally just a few hundred kilometers from here, there's an active war zone. But that does not mean that we start stressing on micro level.
Right.
Look, I look at things from a realistic perspective, as I keep saying, right? What is it for you and your community, your family, that you can do today to, first of all, protect them? And you're more than protected being here. But then secondly, you can contribute to the community and people around you.
Right.
Right? So that the people who are in chaos, you can actually help them make sense of the situation as well. At no point in time, it made sense to actually leave this place. And I feel that it's only going to bounce back better.
Yeah.
Right?
Stronger.
And stronger.
Yes.
So we have to always have a positive outlook.
Right.
And I always say that. And it's harder, it's easier said than done, as they say. But at the end of the day, what other choice do we have? I would rather be happy, full of energy, and do whatever I can to serve, right, people around me, than serve myself by staying positive, by being hopeful, by coming from a place of high energy, then get consumed by this low frequency news and just things that are potentially happening that are outside of my control.
That's right.
I want to always have the locus of control within me, which is what are the emotions that I'm going through. And if I can control that, I'm good.
That's true. And I mean, Dubai is kind of a place which gets you in that thriving mode. Why? Because you just feel so safe and secure here that you have got nothing else to think about rather than just building yourself up.
I think every time somebody asks me, why did I choose Dubai as my home? I always tell them it's the energy here, the energy of people, the way people are motivated. Everybody is building something. Everybody is contributing in one way, shape, or form for themselves, for their families. And I think that is a beautiful thing to have.
That's true.
That's a beautiful energy within the city.
Yeah.
You saw thousands upon thousands of anywhere from major influencers to just normal people posting videos about how much they love Dubai.
Yeah.
In solidarity. In fact, some people think they're getting paid. Nobody's getting paid here. They don't need to pay.
Yeah.
They need to serve, and they've been serving. And when you get served, that's how you earn respect.
That's true.
And that's why people over here, they love the leadership, the respect that they have for how well they're contributing. In fact, I saw a video just I think a few hours ago, the Crown Prince, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan himself, attending a conference with this Department of Economy and Tourism, and really just leading from the front about how do we normalize things, right? They're visible, right? You saw the video surfacing about the president of the UAE just being in Dubai Mall right next door. Just having a cup of coffee.
3-4 days ago, I think.
Yeah, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
So they're visible, they're here, they're showing you that it's secure.
So, Muneeb, as you mentioned that you are bringing something new to the UAE market, can you please speak a little bit about that?
We're going to have a lot of breaking news here at your podcast, right? So it's not necessarily something new. I think it's something that is innovative, right? It's something that we felt the was needed in UAE for two reasons. Number one is that, like I said, our brand, my motivation, my passion is wellness. And I saw a big gap in this, and I'll tell you why. And the second is that I really wanted to have a homegrown sort of just UAE-based project that was sort of ingrained into the culture over here, which is the scenting that we talked about, the fragrances and stuff, right? So what we realized was that, as you see, any hotel that you walk into, any apartment building, any cafe, any spa, any gym, there's a scent.
Yeah.
You can smell the scent. It's beautiful because people over here, they love the scent. But one thing they don't realize is that they're slowly inhaling poison.
That's right.
They're exposed to poison. It's invisible poison, right? Why do I say that? Because 95% plus of the oils that you get over here in this region that are being supplied in this region are unfortunately not good quality, because companies here are competing on price.
Yeah.
Right? They're not competing on quality. They're undercutting each other, and they're supplying something that is not very good because it contains phthalates, it contains parabens, it contains multiple toxins that are not good for your health.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I prefer not using scent, to be honest.
See?
I'm scared.
And you should be, especially candle is the worst, right?
Yeah.
And we solved that problem with Airzai aroma product, which is a personalized product for your home, for your space, right? So you run that and it replaces all your candles and all the toxicated scenting delivery systems. But then what we realized was that in commercial spaces, you could go to a hotel and sit in the lobby and the scent is amazing for a coffee or a meeting. And you would notice an hour and a half later, you would start feeling a little bit of scratch in your throat.
Yeah.
Or you would you notice even people sniffing or coughing. It's because they are not exposed to the right scent. And now imagine the staff that is working there for 10 to 12 hours a day, the guests that are staying there for longer periods of time, they're exposed to this. So we went out to create this new domain in this industry that we launched within the UAE. We call it the Halo Project. We are the first ones, actually. And this comes from my technical background because, you must have heard of this term SaaS, SaaS, which is software as a service. So we had a bit of play of words. We are calling it Scent as a Service.
Oh, wow.
So we're the first company in UAE that is offering Scent as a service. And this ties deeper into, our ethos of giving to the community, of serving. And I loved where our passion for scent, our passion for wellness, and our passion for hospitality and premium experiences all came together, where we created a solution for commercial spaces, again, your hotels, gyms, residential buildings, even events, right? To have a pure, amazing, clean scenting experiences for their spaces. So when you actually work with Air, when we come to your space, our team does the whole analysis, installation, and then they come each month to come and make sure that it's refilled, the machines are working. You don't have to pay anything up front. All of that is just a monthly fee that you pay for us to take care of everything. It's a done-for-you model. It's something that we just recently launched, and we have a waiting list right now.
Wow.
Right? Because people are loving this. Our scents are really the top quality that you can find in the market. And so they are phthalate-free, they're paraben-free, non-GMO, they don't have any allergens, so it's anti-allergens. We do not believe in testing on animals, so it's cruelty-free, which is huge. They're vegan, and they are IFRA certified, which is International Fragrance Regulatory Authority. So you get that stamp, right? We are happy to even provide all the literature backing this, the certifications that it's good scent. But then we take it one step further. We have a wellness collection where we have neuroscientifically proven ingredients that can elicit certain emotion that we talked about.
Yeah.
So if you're a gym, you want to have your customers feel energized. So the scent that we do recommend for gyms is an energizing scent. For a spa would be relaxing scent, calming scent. So this is how we sort of build up on that.
This is so smart and innovative. And I mean, I think this episode is going to be a blockbuster because there are like so many first-time announcements happening. Thank you so much for choosing the mask.
But we're not the mainstream media, so you would not see those big headlines, these splashes that impact your dopamine, right? We're going to keep it chill and calm and classy, right?
Yeah. So, but don't you think it's a good time to launch this product since there's so much chaos out there and hospitality market is one of those which gets affected the most?
Absolutely, yeah. So whenever there is an unrest or conflict in a region, of course, hospitality takes the biggest hit. But let me break it down to you. So this is so smart and people don't realize this, right? There's two kinds of mindsets, right? Because I take meetings pretty much every day. So my team, like we have a business development team, we have a client care team, and then even I'm on the field too, meeting with the GMs, owners, decision makers of the hotels, of spas, of commercial buildings, of hospitality front, retail locations, restaurants. There's two kinds of sentiments. There are people that come from low energy, which is come from fear. And they're like, oh, our bookings dropped. Oh, the tourism is ending. The world is ending.
Yeah.
And you want us to think about scent. But then there are people which I love working with and I love connecting with and I love spending time with because they share my mindset. It's not because I'm getting business from them. It's just that it's the mindset shift because they're saying two things. They're saying, number one, right now, yes, we're going through tough times, but it's going to bounce back even more. Right? People tend to spend, after every adversity, they spend more on tourism, on hospitality than they do it before. Secondly, when the seas are calmer, in this case, if your bookings are not, your hotel is not 100% booked, right? You have seen a dip. Your resources are less spread thin. Now you have time to make these decisions to have the right scenting solution,
Right.
to have the right product, to elevate your brand. Right?
Yeah.
So they're looking at it in terms of a strategic shift. What new value adds can we bring so that when we start welcoming our guests, more guests start coming in, we are at an elevated, so we have a competitive edge. And I love that mindset.
Yeah.
So you'd be surprised. I think right now, majority of these decision makers are proactively adopting this because they want to be on the offense side. They want to take this opportunity to actually recalibrate their offering. Right? So let's just say when the guests start coming, when there is an influx of guests, they're still coming. It's not like the COVID situation when there was a cutoff. It's still happening. It's life as normal. You can see the cars right now, right? Like, the establishments are going at the level that they're going, right? But there is a little bit of decline. So it's an excellent time for these for spas, for all of these establishments to make these changes and be more wellness oriented.
Yeah, it's like a pre-season that before the season starts, you're just preparing yourself.
You put it so well. Exactly. So you know that you're going to be hitting a major season, the main season. So you take this as a pre-season, you re-strategize. And I'm not saying just look at your scenting needs, which you should, right? You can develop. So we do a bespoke, so you can do a portfolio of scents that we have, which is done by award-winning perfumers. But then you can also we can create for you a bespoke scent that is exclusive to your brand. And we call it having the logo in the air.
Yeah.
Right? So before people even see your logo, just like the KFC example I gave you, before you see your logo, they smell it.
Yeah.
So if there's a scent in your spaces, in your lobby, in your retail spaces, people will remember that.
Right.
And that could be another revenue stream too, because you can actually then sell that experience and people take it back to their homes or wherever they come from. And then that's an additional value that you're creating for people.
They can tap into that feeling of their honeymoon or their vacation just by smelling that scent.
Yes. So that is why there's so many hotels. I wish I could name some of them, but of course, these are some of the top brands.
Right.
And they love it. And I take pride in coining the word scent as a service, right?
Yeah.
So being the first SaaS company that is disrupting this space, that is bringing this amazing scenting experience. So if you are in that industry, I really encourage you to first do your research. And once you do, get in touch with us because we got a solution for you.
All right. Thank you so much, Muneeb. I mean, I am inspired just by talking to you here. And I think our audience is going to be way more inspired by listening to our conversation. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Your questions were amazing. And I personally believe that the mission that you're on, because we had a bit of a conversation right before this, the place that you're coming from to actually build this, it's very noble. It's very credible. And I honestly want to just congratulate you already for the work that you're doing. And I see you have a bright future ahead with this podcast.
Thank you so much, Muneeb.
You're welcome.